different. So my name is Matt Bowler. I am the director of MBA programs here at Oklahoma State University. And thank you all for attending, first of all. I live in Tulsa, about 60 miles away from Stillwater, and commute. We have programs, our full-time program in Stillwater, our part-time program in Tulsa, and our online program that is global. I will let my colleagues that are here introduce themselves. Emily, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Yeah, so my name is Emily Murphy. I'm the advisor for online and Tulsa MBA students. So I would be your advisor if you decide to go with their program in the online venue. So I work primarily here at our Tulsa campus, and then I go over to Stillwater, a few times a month for meetings, special events, things like that. So glad you are on here and that you could join us tonight. And this webinar is pretty interactive, so if you have questions as we go along, feel free to unmute yourself or put it in our chat box, and we'll definitely run through your questions. So, Rodrigo, you're up.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time and joining us this evening or early afternoon, depending on where you're at. My name is Rodrigo, and I serve as the MBA manager. I oversee admissions, scholarships, rankings. It's part of a really important part of my job, and I work one-on-one with our full-time MBAs here in Stillwater. I'm delighted to be part of this team of incredible people. We're just a few of us, but we do a lot, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through the program and through the admission process and answer any questions you might have about the MBA program here at Oklahoma State.
All right, Matt Fedick, why don't you give a brief introduction to yourself as well?
Hi, yeah, I'm Matt Fedick. I am an alumni of the MBA program. I graduated in 2010 from OSU with my MBA.
All right, thank you, Matt. Just real quickly, could we go through and just our attendees just tell us your name and where you're from? Andrew, we'll start with you.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wright. I'm living in Myrtle Beach right now, and I'm the director of pharmacy at Conway Medical Center.
Very cool. Andrew, we may want to talk about our dual degree with our healthcare administration program if you're not already aware of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm interested in, actually.
Okay, great. We'll make sure to touch on that. Alex.
Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Alex. I'm from New Jersey. I'm also a pharmacist at a specialty pharmacy here in New Jersey.
Very nice. Thank you, Alex. Corey.
Hi, everyone. Corey Munns here. Currently living in New York State. I work right over the border in Connecticut. A decommissioning manager is my title, and in my organization, we do cost estimates for decommissioning nuclear power plants and other nuclear generation sites.
Wow. Okay. A little bit of responsibility. Pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corey. Sammy.
Yeah, I'm Sammy Ferguson from Grove, Oklahoma. I'm a chiropractor. We have a couple satellite offices and an integrated clinic with a nurse practitioner, massage therapy, and some other things. So that's what I got.
All right, Sammy, thank you. As a 4-time steroid injection patient, I appreciate you and your work. Zeb.
Hi, I'm Zeb Jones. I live in Burbank, California, and I am a senior manager for biopharmaceutical manufacturing equipment production.
All right, Zeb, thank you very much. And thanks for linking us to be now coast to coast from New Jersey, New York, Myrtle Beach, all the way touching base in Oklahoma, and then out to the West Coast in California. Well, thank you all for being here. The MBA program is a program that I'm passionate about, that I've taught in here at OSU since 2006. I started teaching in the MBA program at the University of North Texas in 2002. I took over this role to reinvigorate and redesign our program in 2019. So you're already here, and so a lot of this question may have already been answered for you, but a lot of people say, why an MBA? And I actually had one of our board members ask me one day, what is your value proposition? I said, well, we have a very inexpensive, high quality MBA program. And he said, no, I want to know what the value proposition is. What's the end game? What's the ROI? And I said, I actually don't know the answer to that question. So I had to go do some research on that. So there's a number of stats out there that we can refer to that talk about that the value of an MBA is still there. MBA graduates obviously earn premium salaries. They get faster promotions. And one of the things that I found from salary.com was that it showed that if you get an MBA from any university, whether that be Southeastern State University up through Harvard or Yale or any other Ivy League school or Stanford, that you would make on average across all those schools around 500,000 extra over the life of your career. But if you get that MBA from a ranked and a AACSB accredited school, which you probably already know that OSU is ranked 28th nationally online, and we are AACSB accredited, that is the business school accreditation to have, that 500,000 automatically on average turns into $1 million. And other studies I found more recently suggest that it's an average over the lifespan of your career of between $2 and $3.5 million. So that number obviously keeps growing. The median salary of MBA graduates fresh out of school is well into the six figures. The MBAs make on average 77% more than bachelor's degrees, and so on and so forth. So as I mentioned, you probably already know the reasons for getting an MBA. That's why you're here. You've already taken this step. Some of you clearly are in the healthcare field, and some of our dual degree options may be great for you. And there may be lots of other reasons to get your MBA. One of which is, I know a lot of people do it because they're lifelong learners and they want to keep continuing their education and improving themselves and being challenged. And so we can all relate to that as people with undergraduate, MBA, and a PhD. Emily is on that side of me, if we're doing Family Feud style. She's got a master's degree. Rodrigo's got a master's degree and is working on his PhD as well. So the value of education never goes away. Emily, there we go. So why OSU? As I mentioned, we're the 28th ranked program according to US News. We've been delivering online courses in one format or another since 1993, for almost 30 years. Our course structure allows flexibility to fit your work and your personal schedule. There are a lot of great programs out there, but not as many have the flexibility, the affordability, and the rigor that we still have. So our flexibility allows you to take as little as 1 hour in a semester, as many as you can take with your lifestyle within reason. We do have limits on that because we want you to be successful and we want to maintain the rigor of our program. We strive to maintain the power of personal in our program. You won't see enrollments in classes of 100 or 200 or anything like that in our program. Our program is taught by the same faculty who teach in our face-to-face classes on both of our campuses. So if you have me for your management, individual and organizational behavior course online, I also teach that class in Tulsa in our professional hybrid program and in Stillwater for our full-time students. And our faculty interact with our students. So we generally will only, like my class this semester has about 50 students in it, which is about normal for an MBA program on campus, as well as for us online. Our accounting courses may run a little higher because they're more numbers based than they are theory and text based. And so grading and keeping up with things is a little easier. But we maintain our Spears motto of the power of personal. In addition to that, 28th ranking, and so you'll see a lot of programs that are ranked high, that are maybe more prestigious, but I would guess that sometimes schools will basically lease out their name for somebody else to run their program, or they will hire adjuncts to come in and teach their MBA, online MBA programs. Our program online is the same as it is in Stillwater, as it is in Tulsa. Once the US News rankings comes out, Yahoo Finance looks at those rankings and says, okay, among those schools that are ranked, which ones are the most affordable? Well, OSU ranked #1 in that ranking out of the top 50. Our tuition and fees for resident is $481.15 per credit hour for in-state. Our non-resident is a hybrid tuition rate that we negotiated that isn't our full out-of-state tuition. Our full out-of-state tuition, if you come here and take classes on campus, is around $1,100 a credit hour. Our online non-resident negotiated rate is $611.35. You pretty much won't see that for a non-resident rate from a high-quality school anywhere. So that's a little bit of why OSU. You get a team like this of people who will know your name, Emily will have Zoom sessions with you for your advising. She's our one online advisor. Rodrigo is our one program manager, and I'm the only director. So it is very much a personal experience. For the next slide, I think I kick it over to Matt Fedick, our alum.
Yeah, maybe a good time to come in and talk through me as an alumni, what I gained from the program and, where it's taken me in my career. Just to kind of take a step back, I am originally from Oklahoma. I grew up in a small town called Catoosa, Oklahoma. So for anybody who's not from Oklahoma, it's a very small town, about 6,000 people, just outside Tulsa. So when I ended up at OSU during my undergrad, and then after leaving my undergrad, I went and worked for a few years, but knew that I was interested in going back to get my MBA. And I had a professor in my undergrad that really kind of spawned the interest for entrepreneurship during my undergrad. And I actually started a small company with him during my undergrad degree. And after I left my undergraduate degree and went out into the real world, I started working for a few years and just had that draw to go back and do my MBA. So I felt like it was great to be able to actually go out and put what I had learned in my undergrad to use. That being said, I think I lacked a lot of confidence in myself at that point. And so I decided to go back, get my MBA. My wife and I, we sold our house, sold the cars, moved back to Stillwater, and started up a full-time MBA in Stillwater, Oklahoma, on campus. In the end, I actually ended up getting hired in my somewhere in my third semester of 4 semesters during my MBA, and moved to Colorado for the company that I got hired by, and finished out my my MBA online. So I have a little bit of experience on both sides of the fence. 3/4 of it was on campus, in Stillwater on campus, and then the last part was online. So it was fun. I really enjoyed my time on campus and my time away, doing it online. But the things that I feel like I really took away from my MBA are, one was experiential learning. For anybody, I don't know who coined that term, but for anybody who's not familiar, you have your in-class learning and you have your experiential learning. The in-class stuff, to be honest with you, even in undergrad and in MBA, was always like a little bit prescribed for me. You go in, you learn, you take a test, and if you're like me, you didn't do very well on a lot of them. But the experiential side, it was a lot more fun to me, and I think OSU offered a lot of it. Ways to network outside of the classroom and get involved. A couple of the things, to give a few examples, that I took away from the MBA program on the experiential side were, working with local businesses. I gave a speech during my MBA in one of the halls on campus in Stillwater to a bunch of local business professionals and the MBA and everybody that was in the MBA program. And after that speech, a guy approached me. It turns out he was the president of a local bank in Stillwater there, and asked me to come in and do some experiential learning with him. I helped him with a project that he graciously gave to me, and it was great because I put myself out there to give the speech. I was so nervous, like you can probably tell I am right now, and went out and did that, and it was a lot of fun. That's one end of the spectrum for experiential learning, is like working with a local company. For me, on the entrepreneurial side, and helping them build up their business. Another side of the experiential learning side was I got to go to Africa through the entrepreneurship program and spent about 7 or 8 weeks in Africa with a group of people working with some budding entrepreneurs. And I still look back to that time in my life as one of the best experiences of my life. Actually going out, working with budding entrepreneurs, 2 different ones in my case, and helping them build up their businesses in Africa. It was a fantastic experience. So for me, the experiential learning side of things was really important. I definitely went into every class and studied my ass off to get through them, but it was the experiential side that really helped me, I think, the most. That kind of leads to the next one down, which is the tools added to my toolkit. Walking away from my MBA, I feel like I gained a tremendous amount of not only classroom knowledge from the in-class stuff, but from the outside the classroom items as well. It was fantastic to be able to have a little bit of a working experience before my MBA, realize where I'm kind of lacking in certain areas, and go into my MBA and know what to focus on, and that it really helped. Also unlocked a whole lot of doors. I made a lot of contacts, as an example with the speech that I gave, and ended up working with a local company in Stillwater. That is one side of it, is making those connections and unlocking doors that way. But having my MBA open more doors for me than just having my undergraduate degree. This isn't always the case, but when I'm able to tell somebody that I have an MBA from OSU and that I have all these great experiences during that program, it really perked their interest in me more than if I didn't have that. So I felt like it opened a lot of doors for me. And then I mentioned this earlier, confidence. I needed it a lot. OSU gave that to me. I think that's it for me. Honestly, number one is probably confidence side. I apologize if you can hear my dog in the background. I'm actually on the back patio of my house, and my dog is just on the other side of the thin walls. But yeah, confidence was a key one for me, and of all of these, I feel like it might be the most. One of the other experiential learning things, I got involved on the entrepreneurial side with some of the engineers in the engineering school at OSU, and I wrote a business plan for them for a product they were wanting to launch. And we actually went to California and pitched some San Francisco VCs. And if you've ever pitched in front of a VC, which now later in my career I have many times, it's always unnerving. And that confidence that I gained from doing it during my MBA, it helped me later in life. Now I have regular conversations with venture capital firms to raise money for startups, and I always look back to that experience that I had at OSU in the MBA program, actually pitching a real product on multiple occasions that I worked alongside the hardware engineers at OSU to do. So pretty fun. And then clearly networking, it's you can probably see it as a general theme across most of these things of what I gained and took away. So I'll move on to the other side of the slide here, which is where has that taken me. Right out of MBA, I accepted that role that I mentioned in Colorado. I currently live in Boulder, Colorado. I've been out here for about 13 years, 12 years, 13 years. And I accepted a job with a company called Commercial Resins, which isn't even listed here. I've had a bit of opportunity on my side. And I worked with 2 owners that were wanting to start a startup, and they entrusted that startup to me. We later, about 5 years later, sold that startup for about $20 million, which was my biggest startup that I had been a part of at that time. It was a fantastic experience, much bigger than the first one that I did with the OSU professor long ago. After that, I wanted to get a little bit more experience. That startup originally was in oil and gas, and I wanted to gain a little bit more experience in a different industry. So I was really interested on the aerospace side. So I went after a role in aerospace at DB Schenker and worked there for a little while to kind of like expand my my background. That was a very large company, 95,000 people. I was a general manager for a contract at DB Schenker through Triumph Aerostructures, which built like the wings for the Gulfstream 650. If anybody knows what that is, it's the jet that like Oprah Winfrey has. It's like a $65 million jet. And we would, our contract, sourced all the components, brought them in and built them. It was pretty fun. But it was a 95,000 person company, wasn't really my cup of tea. I wanted to get back into the entrepreneurial side of things, which is when I landed at probably a very pivotal spot in my career at Canvas Technology. Canvas, we built autonomous mobile robots. This was moving away from aerospace and into tech, which is where I currently am, and I hope that I have the opportunity to stay in for the rest of my career. At Canvas, we built autonomous mobile robots, which are robots that basically like can think for themselves. They can make their own decisions and move around obstacles while moving material in either production or warehouse environments. And I was an early person in that startup at Canvas Technology in Boulder, Colorado. And about 4 or 5 years later, we ended up selling to Amazon, which was yet another like amazing experience for me to go through the due diligence process of selling a company to Amazon. Lots of really interesting stories of me like being one-on-one with some person from Amazon, and they're like grilling me on why our technology is, or if our technology can truly stand up to what we said it would. And eventually they ended up acquiring us. And after that, I worked for Amazon for about 3 years, building up that technology inside of their doors. And then ended up kind of getting the itch to go out and start another startup. There were 4 people, me being one of the 4, that decided to leave Amazon and go out and start up the next startup, which is Pattern Labs. That's where I currently am at. I'm a co-founder and COO of Pattern Labs. And the rest is history. So we started that about a year ago, and are getting ready to sign our first big commercial contract with a well-known airline that you guys probably fly on a regular basis. So long story short, that's my background. And I think OSU was, a catalyst in helping me to get where I am today, mainly because of the confidence that I built up inside that program.
All right.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if there are any questions or anything, I'd love to answer them, or I can absolutely hold till the end as well.
Thank you, Matt. And I want to just highlight a couple of things from Matt's experience that transfer as he did part on campus and part online. The experiential learning, specifically for our entrepreneurship students, we have our CIE Scholars class, which they actually take OSU and other technology, OSU owned and other technology, and launch that into a monetized business. And we have that offered online as well as on campus. We offer our study abroad programs are available to our online students. And on the networking side, I just wanted to touch on the fact that, for example, in my class, I have to leave in a few minutes because my online class, I have a 30-minute Zoom check-in session every week. And we work generally in weekly chunks of material. So we get together in an optional 30-minute Zoom every week and talk about what we're learning, what's challenging us, and what we're looking for out of the class, as well as team and group projects that people work on through Zoom projects. So we take that experiential learning, that networking, and we bring it to an online format. So I am going to leave it with Rodrigo and Emily and Matt for the rest, because I got to jump over to my class Zooms. But feel free to reach out to me by email. I'm just MBA director at okstate.edu with any questions. And you can, and the rest of them will take you through the rest of the presentation. Thank you, Matt. Thanks, Rodrigo, and thanks, Emily, and thanks everybody for being here.
Great, thanks, Matt, both Matts, I guess I should say. Kind of what we'll go into next. So this is just, I'll cover more of the curriculum side of our MBA program. So first, we'll go through kind of what your different options are as far as getting an MBA with us. General MBA with us is 33 credit hours. And when I say general MBA, that just means an MBA without a concentration or certificate. So for your electives, you're just doing picking and choosing electives for your remaining 9 hours and then getting an MBA. And then another route is through a concentration. So your electives are focused in a specific area. We have certain ones that are available to y'all as online students that you're able to continue with. And then another option that you'll see on here is through a certificate. So the certificate is treated like a separate degree program. So once you apply for it and are admitted, then you're able to do the classes for that certificate, and then those classes transfer over to your MBA electives. And usually in the concentration route and the certificate route, you're looking at about 36 credit hours as opposed to 33 for general MBA. So essentially one extra class that you would need to do if you go with either of those routes. And with all these options that you have, you do the same core classes that you would do regardless of which route you take, and that's 24 credit hours. And then since we have a few students on here in the healthcare field, it's not on this slide, but I can kind of run through our healthcare administration dual degree program. Kind of how our dual degree programs work. So you have to apply and be admitted into both programs. So that's kind of the key thing that we try to let all of our prospective students know, because sometimes they'll think that if they just apply to one, then they can just start into the other, and you have to make sure to apply and meet the admissions requirements for both. So the dual degree option in healthcare, you're just doing all of the core classes for the MBA, the 24 credit hours, and the remaining core classes on the HCA side for a total of 45 credit hours. So usually within that venue, in that dual degree, you're looking at probably about 3 years. And that's about on average how long it takes our students in that dual degree to complete it. And usually in that option, I would be your advisor on the MBA side, and then we have an advisor on the healthcare side as well that you work with her on with any questions regarding those healthcare classes. Other thing I'll cover is our online learning, kind of how our classes are structured. So all of our classes, the material for the course is released on a weekly basis. So we don't have any of the classes where you have all the coursework in the beginning and you have until the end to complete it. It's more module based, so you get a little bit at a time. All of our classes, you're able to watch the lectures on your own time. Our professors pre-record and upload their lectures, and you can watch them as your schedule allows. And then one thing that Dr. Bowler mentioned at the beginning was live chat sessions, which the reason he had to jump off on our call tonight. So we have a couple of those live chat sessions in some of our classes. So it's really just an interactive discussion with the class and the professor via Zoom in the evenings. And those are a great option. A lot of our students really enjoy those because you have that opportunity for that networking and interaction with the other students virtually. So that's kind of how that our classes work in that in our online venue. So what you'll see on this slide, so this is just our curriculum and with the core classes here on the left side. As you can see here, those first 3 classes in the super core, those are each 1 credit hour, but the remaining of our core classes are each 3 credit hours. And on the right side, you'll see a list of our concentrations and certificates that I had mentioned at the beginning. So that's what your options are. All these apply for you as an online student. One thing to note here is this last bullet here at the bottom is the general business certificate. We have, that's a recent addition in our certificate options. And so that's basically like an abbreviated MBA. So it's our same MBA core classes. It's 15 credit hours, and it's a good alternative pathway to get into the MBA. So we use this option for students if you miss the deadline to apply for that semester, but you still want to start your MBA classes in the upcoming semester. You can apply for that because that deadline for the certificate is a month later than our regular MBA degree program. So gives you a little bit of a grace period and an alternative option if you need it. And so then eventually, if you apply in that and you're admitted and start in those classes, then you can just apply for the MBA in a later semester and have those classes transfer. So that's kind of how that works there. Most of our students, you'll see back here on the left side, complete our program in about 2 to 2.5 years. If you take longer than that, that's fine. But usually that's probably what you're looking at as far as time commitment there. Most students do about 6 credit hours or 2 classes each fall and spring, usually about 1 in summer if you decide on summer classes. So usually in that format, you're looking at that timeline there. So if you want to take less than that, that's fine too. More, I kind of work with you on that if you need to take more or want to. Usually more than that is full time. So if you're working, that can be a lot, but sometimes, you know, if you have that time in that semester, you know, it can be doable as well. So that's kind of how that's broken down there. So I'll turn it over to Rodrigo for these last few remaining slides.
Thank you, Emily. Well, just like Emily mentioned, and I'm just gonna go back a little about the concentrations, right? Because this is a question that we get on a regular basis. Like, why would I go for a concentration? You have to stand out. So you have 9 credit hours of electives, and then if you enroll very specific electives, you're gonna get a concentration. So think of a concentration as your minor. Actually, one of our MBA alumni board members, he can testify and say the reason why I have the job that I have, that I absolutely love, is because when I apply for this position, they require an MBA. So I'm pretty sure I apply along with, I don't know how many dozens of other MBA graduates nationwide, but I stand out because I had a concentration in data science, right? So those are the kind of things that why you should consider a concentration. And cherry on top, you can also get the graduate certificate, which again, it's a micro-credential. And you know that micro-credentials are trendy right now. So you will be double dipping those courses. But anyway, let's talk a little about this, the added value and engagement. You will never be walking by yourself throughout the program. You'll have Emily, but then you'll have access to a lot of resources online in this community, in the Canvas community. So before you start your MBA, you can complete several sections for the orientation per se. That way you know exactly what to do, what not to do, some tips, recommendations as a new graduate student. Networking, You'll have plenty of opportunities for networking, even if you are located on the East Coast or the West Coast, through the professional development opportunities that we are launching. This is a brand new opportunity for all of our online students as well. And just picture that from a networking perspective, the MBA program per se, regardless of venue, the MBA program was created in 1961. So we're talking about 61 years in the making. Since then, we have graduated more than 5,000 students. They are all over the world. So you'll be joining a family of more than 5,000 people that will give you those networking opportunities. On top of that, you can study abroad as well. You can either go on a winter break trip or a spring break or a summer trip. So you will earn credit out of it. Usually those credits will be electives, but because there's no way for us to substitute or find some sort of like a replacement for core MBA classes. So those can be study abroad trips. We have Dubai, Costa Rica, Ireland, what else we have that they just launched? Thailand, Barcelona, Greece. We have several options anywhere in the world. So you can join those. You have access to those. Career services as well. So you can contact career services if you are joining some sort of or let's say that you are planning to upgrade your job and get a promotion, or you're exploring other opportunities out there. You can access someone that will review your resume and say, hey, change this, tweak this and that, or some sort of like a mock interview, or overall tips when applying for job opportunities or connecting with potential employers. You have access to all of that. Once you complete your MBA, you're welcome to come to Stillwater. We throw a hooding ceremony for all of our graduates, both in the spring and in the fall. And usually it's the second Friday of May and the second Friday of December. And then you can join everyone to the stadium and walk on the stage, and this massive with thousands of people graduating. So you're welcome to join the hooding ceremony. And like I mentioned earlier, the alumni relationships is like the MBA family. It feels like a family. Yeah, we're all over the world. We're pretty much based here in Oklahoma, but wherever you go, you will be surprised how we all are connected. It's a small world after all. And the next one, we're gonna talk about how to be admitted, how to be considered for admission for the MBA program. So Emily, can you click next? There it is. So everything goes through the graduate college. So you have to create an application on the website of the graduate college. That's the main portal. You create a username with your password, you pay the application fee, and then you have to submit those elements required for admission. Okay. We have two deadlines if you want to be considered for admission in the spring, regardless of spring 23, 24, you name it. The deadline is November 1st. If you want to be considered for fall admission, the absolute and final deadline is June 1st. Same scenario, regardless if it's fall 23, 24, 25, June the 1st. So we require these 5 elements for admission. GMAT or GRE score, and I'll talk about the waivers that we have. We take both GMAT or GRE. You can take those in a testing center, or you can go and take those fully online. It's your call. My recommendation is go to a testing center. That way you don't have to worry about anything other than performing well when taking the test. So we take either one. We need all of your transcripts. If you earn credit from several institutions for your undergrad, we want to see those official transcripts as well. Your resume in a professional business format, 1 page, black and white. 3 professional letters of recommendation from people that knows you in a professional capacity. Could be coworkers, could be supervisors, could be mentors, coaches, former faculty that you were able to interact with in the past. We take those. We just don't want to see letters of recommendation from family members, from neighbors, from high school friends, you name it. That is just a red flag for us. And a personal statement, just keep it short, 1 page, a page and a half. We want to hear from you. We want to see a story. Usually the best personal statements that we get to review as the MBA admissions committee, along with everyone else, are those that walk us through a story. Why they want to get an MBA, why an MBA from OSU, why they feel they have the qualifications and the skills to succeed as an MBA student at OSU. So those are the elements required for admission. Now let's talk about waivers, because it's one of the most frequent questions that we get. We have a limited number of waivers. 2 requirements: 1, 5 or more years of professional experience post-graduation. Yes, internships are important. If you work during your undergrad, that's important as well. But we start counting since you got your undergraduate degree. If you graduated in May 2013, then you've been working for 9 years now, right? So we require 5 or more years of professional experience post-graduation and an undergraduate GPA of 3.5 or more. So if you fulfill those 2 requirements, you can be considered for admission. And you can be considered for a waiver. Now, fulfilling those requirements does not guarantee admission or an actual waiver. We take in consideration every single element required for admission for us to decide who will be one of the applicants that will get a GMAT or GRE a test waiver. So it looks like we have a question here from Corey. Nope, it's the exact same. It doesn't say Master of Business Administration online, or Master of Business Administration full-time, or Master of Business Administration Tulsa. Is the exact same for everyone. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the concentration is not displayed on your diploma, okay? So your concentration is displayed only on your transcript. However, if you get the graduate certificate, if you take that route of going for a concentration that gives you the graduate certificate, you get an actual diploma for the graduate certificate. The only thing to keep in mind is that you have to apply for the graduate certificate because it's another degree. And then let's say that the programs talk to each other about the classes that you take. And then when it's time for you to complete the graduation process and all the paperwork, you apply for graduation for both, for your MBA and for your graduate certificate. And then 6 weeks after graduation, you get both diplomas in your mailbox. Great question. But yeah, regardless, the venue is the exact same diploma.
Yeah, and on that too, so all of our classes are the same in all 3 venues too. So, taught by the same faculty, you do the same assignments, all that stuff. So translates to all 3 venues equally.
Great question, Tori. Absolutely, Corey. Yes, so the online venue is very competitive. So we're looking at anything in the 600 range. So the GMAT goes from 200 to 800, okay? So anything in the 600s will put you in a great position to be considered for admission, but keep in mind that we have a holistic approach. What I mean by holistic approach, every single element required for admission matters. So we have seen applications with not a very strong GMAT score, but boom, an outstanding GPA, an outstanding resume, outstanding letters of recommendation, outstanding personal statement, boom, that person is going to get an admission offer from us. Yes, GMAT, GRE scores matter because those are an indicator that you will do great because we want you to succeed. But is not a deal breaker compared to other business schools. Again, we take in consideration every single element required for admission. Any other questions? What questions do you have for us? We'll be more than happy to take any. And you don't have to type it. Feel free. You are allowed to speak as well.
So you said the the exceptions are a 3.5 GPA and 5+ years of experience. Are there any exceptions, like, or are those two things you have to meet?
Yes. And or if you have a terminal degree, I skip that requirement. If you already have a terminal degree, JD, PhD, DO, MD, then you can apply for a waiver. But again, the requirements for a test waiver are those to be considered again for a test waiver.
Because I would imagine there's a couple PharmDs on here. So we have doctorates, and
Yep.
I mean, just I've been a professional for quite some time, and you sort of see that GPA isn't always the most important factor in who's successful or not. So that was just my main question.
Yep. So you guys can apply for a waiver, and the way to apply for a waiver is super easy. It's on your actual application. It's called a supplemental form, and that is where you're going to indicate if you're planning on submitting a GMAT or GRE score. If you click that you do not plan to submit a test score, that immediately triggers for us, when we review the applications and the rest of the committee, that you are asking us to evaluate your application without a test score. And based on that, we decide if we grant or not a test waiver.
Okay.
And just to confirm I'm sorry. I just want to confirm that for PharmD, it is counted in that.
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't see it listed.
It's good for us. It's considered a terminal degree. So yeah, you should be good to request that test waiver on your application.
Yeah, and so my question is kind of similar. Like on the application, when we put academic history in, I put in my postgraduate, my doctorate, but there's no option for DC, and there's no option to pick another. And so I have to put something wrong or leave it out.
Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention, because we have someone over the graduate college that oversees all the platform, like the software that we use for admissions, and they're constantly working on it. There's always room for improvement. So thanks for sharing that with us. But again, we review everything, absolutely everything. So even that the system is not allowing you, eventually we're going to go and take a look to your transcripts, and we're going to match those with your resume. And then when we realize that you have the credentials, and of course, you're going to indicate that you are requesting a waiver, right? So if you request a waiver, then boom, immediately we have to take a look to your credentials to see if you qualify for a waiver.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And for the dual degree program, it is just that one application that you fill out, correct?
It's one dual degree application.
Correct.
Right.
But you have to, put both MBA and HCA. I think we've usually tell students to do MBA as the primary and HCA as the secondary, because MBA has a little bit, we have the GMAT GRE test score, which is in more than what the HCA has. So, so if you can do it that way, then you should be good to go.
Thank you.
Yep. Looks like we have another question here. I mean, that's going to kind of depend on kind of where we are in the semester. I would say what, Rodrigo?
So it all depends, because this is one thing that you can experience, right? Everything goes through the graduate college. So you could submit all the elements that are on your side, right? And you feel like your application is ready to move forward. But if we're missing a letter of recommendation, for example, the letters of recommendation are something that you have no control at all. You only provide the contact information of those professional contacts to the graduate college. So the way those work is that the graduate college is going to contact them saying, hey, this applicant is requesting a letter of recommendation for the MBA program at OSU. So if that person does not take the time to work on the letter and submit the letter for you, your application can be on a standby for a very long time. So you might feel like, hey, I submitted my application on October the 15th, and it's November the 15th, and I haven't heard anything. That's probably because your letters of recommendation have not hit your actual application. But once we just review complete applications, the ones that include every single element required for admission. So once they hit our queue to review, and we as committee review those applications, we usually issue an admission recommendation to the graduate college in probably between 5 or 10 business days after the application is complete, and we review it. And then you get your admission offer from the graduate college, and that's when it includes all the instructions how to get an appointment with Emily and get you enrolled and go through all the enrollment process. But it's a great question. And what I mean by that is that you have to keep track on the status of your application. You have to make sure, especially, that those letters of recommendation are being submitted on your behalf. Otherwise, your application can be on standby for a very, very long time.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you for
and-
that. So I didn't know, like, I started the online portal, but I didn't know if you could go in there and look to see if when your professional references submit, like, does it show when they submit the letter?
You get an email.
Oh, okay.
Get
Okay.
an email, because you can choose if you want to see that letter or not. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you choose that you want to see that letter, then eventually that letter is going to be available for you to review. But once the recommendation letter is submitted, you get a notification from the graduate college saying, hey, John Smith have submitted the letter of application on your behalf. So that's how you can keep track on the status of those. So that's a great, it's a good opportunity for me to give you that tip. This recommendation. Request those letters of recommendation from people that you know, that you can text, that you can call, that you can send them a DM or you name it, saying, hey, any news? Have you taken the time? When do you think are going to be available, or you're going to be able to submit a letter of recommendation? Because again, that could be a deal breaker, because your application will be on standby. It will not move forward for evaluation if it's missing only one letter of recommendation. So request those letters of recommendation from people that you know that they want the best for you. They want you to access an MBA program, because otherwise, again, it could be on the standby forever.
Gotcha. And then just one last question: the
Sure.
submitting your GMAT or GRE scores, those need to be, the score needs to the score needs to be in by November 1st. Like, say if you're applying for the spring
Correct.
semester and the date, the application date is November 1st, the score needs to be in to OSU by November 1st, correct?
That is correct. Yes. So whenever you take the GMAT or the GRE, they're going to ask you what schools you want your score to be sent to.
Correct. Okay.
So you're going to select Oklahoma State University MBA online program. And then once your official score is reviewed by GMAT or GRE, then it immediately is going to show on your application on our site. You will be able to see it. So we, again, and now that we're talking about the scores, again, we have a holistic approach. So one thing that you can experience, and this is something that we do, and it's pretty unique, because for many business schools out there, the GMAT or GRE score is a deal breaker. If you have a good score, you're in. If you don't have a good score, you're not in. But we don't do any of that. Again, we have a holistic approach. So if we review your application and we feel like your application is in good shape, but there's room for improvement, we're not gonna deny your application. You're gonna hear from us. Usually you hear from me. You get an email from me saying, hey, Tori, we review your application. It's in good shape, but we would like you to retest the GMAT.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we usually give those applications that are in good shape but could be in better shape a second opportunity to retest and submit a new GMAT or GRE score. And usually once we give that opportunity, we give you guys 4 weeks. So we give you 1 extra month to submit a new test score.
Oh, okay.
And we're reviewing applications on a regular basis. So if you take the time to submit your application, let's say by late September, like in 3 weeks or so, probably you're gonna hear from us, whether with an admission offer or with requesting you a test to retest, probably mid-October or so. And then again, we give you again 4 more weeks to retest.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think we have one here. Oh no, that one is covered. Anything else? Because we're hitting the 8:30 Central Time mark. Are we good?
So here,
yeah.
on this, this is our contact page. So this number here, and we'll send out probably tomorrow this presentation to everybody who's attended today. So you'll have access to this if you want to go back through some of the information we covered. So this number here is to our main office. So if you want to set up an appointment with myself or Rodrigo to discuss some of the things about our program, admissions, curriculum, that type of thing, you're welcome to do that. So you'll just call them, set up an appointment, and then they'll put you on our calendars. And then this is our email, just to the our main email address as well.
And I just typed on the chat our emails, both Emily's email and myself. So if you have any questions, concerns, we know when you apply for grad school, you are shopping around, you are evaluating your options. But especially most of the questions come with the admission process, with the application process. That's when we see a lot of people reaching out. So feel free to send us an email. You can find us on LinkedIn as well. You can see what we're doing in the MBA program, regardless of venue. And we'll be more than happy to help you, walk you through. And of course, on behalf of all of us in Watson Graduate School of Management and Spears School of Business here at Oklahoma State, thank you for taking the time this afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are. If you're on the East Coast, on the West Coast, well, it's not 8:30 for you, but for us, it's Central Time, it's 8:30. So again, thank you for taking the time. Hopefully, we will review your applications for the MBA program in the near future, and you will become cowboys and cowgirls real soon. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your time, of your night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank y'all.
All righty. All right.